Hello, I want to welcome you to part 2 of God's mindset on wealth. So, to truly define richness, we look at God, who He called poor and who He called rich. You see, Jesus is God Himself, and we have read from the Bible how God lives in heaven. The life He lives is just high class, but He isn't proud. There are streets of gold. And if Jesus was to live here on earth like He lived in heaven, then He would have at least made streets of gold. He wouldn't have just lived in a simple house. No. It's not that He couldn't do it, but He chose not to. If He decided to live like God lives in heaven, all of Jerusalem would just be gold, because God is very, very rich. That is why Jesus says He was poor. So you want to tell me that someone who has his needs met, feeds at least 9,000 people, is poor? I didn't say that, but God said so. You can imagine what God calls poor. Amazing, right? You can understand this even better when you look at the Old Testament. The people God did call rich. How rich were they? Most of them were richer than the country they lived in. Just imagine being richer than the whole nation of Kenya. You see, when you combine the wealth in Kenya, it will at least be over 1 trillion. Combining all the businesses, the jets, the government money. So if you are going to be rich than Kenya, you have to at least have over 1 trillion. This is just crazy, but this is how God defines wealth. There is wealth that Solomon received, and according to today's measures, it was over $1.4 trillion. You can imagine. You remember the money David gave for the construction of the temple? Just gold alone, it was over $1 billion. Whoa, I know, it's a lot. But these are the people God called rich. So what do we learn? This means that if you are even to be called poor, you should be able to meet your needs and feed at least 9,000 people. Jesus lived the basic life for us. God calls Him poor. And when I understood this, I said, Lord, I'm not even poor right now. I'm just poor without the OR. So I need to feed at least 9,000 people before I can be poor. This shouldn't condemn you, but should open your mind to think like God thinks. I haven't fed 9,000 people yet, but since then, my focus has changed and I'm no longer thinking small. You see, the reason why many people are stumbling upon this teaching, it's because of the way we have defined poverty. What people in the US call poor is not the same here in Kenya. As I was walking, the Lord said to me, son, when my people will begin to walk in the realm of trillions, then at least they will have started scratching the surface of Christianity. This is even the challenge we have here in our nation. Once someone buys a nice house, a car, he loses the excitement of doing more and more. And at least we should feed 9,000 people so that we can grow from poor to poor. I really love the Boeing 757, and it's a very nice machine. It costs just $100 million. That is not a lot for God. But we must first think differently if we are to experience God's fullness. And of course, once you begin talking like this, people will think you are crazy. But let them hide and watch. So this, as you can see, we have defined richness according to God's standard. And I hope you meditate upon this. Let it revolutionize your thinking on wealth. So, on the third course, I will explain further how God works and flows in wealth. God bless you.